G'day, legends. Welcome back to Roadside, presented by Zwift. We are back. We've got our Tour de France preview, a massive show, Tommy, that we're going to be bringing our faithful listeners and our new listeners as well. Hopefully in a refreshing way, because there's so many previews out there, Tommy. Ours.
Snooze fest.
Yeah, snooze fest. Got to have a bit of energy, a bit of fun, hilarious, serious, and everything in between. So that's our aim. Great to have everyone back, and we must remind everyone that our Tour de France coverage is going to be minted. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have 2 episodes per week throughout the Tour de France, listeners, and usually on a Monday and a Friday, sort of recapping the weekend, and then, of course, previewing what's to come throughout the week, Tommy.
Real Trumpian approach there. You know, oh, it's going to be the best. It's going to be the greatest.
Well, he's a psycho, so no missiles from us. But the coverage is going to be great, so make sure you do subscribe as well, so make sure those episodes get in your feed as soon as they drop. Of course, available on podcast players, so subscribe there, and our YouTube following as well. So some dedicated YouTube listeners out there that love watching us.
They do, don't they? Yeah, they do.
So it's been good seeing the feedback from all the listeners, and make sure you get in the comments. And for this Tour de France coverage,
this is special.
This is special. We're welcoming on a new sponsor to join Zwift and FE Sports. Tommy, who is it?
We have yours truly, Quadlock, and I've been absolutely dying out for this sponsor. I've had this Quadlock phone case for many years. It's completely saved my phone more times than I can count. But themselves, mate, what have you brokered? You love a deal.
I did broker a deal.
Speaking of Trump.
It was brokered much on your case. I said, poor old Tommy, look at your screen. That thing is cooked. Your screen looks like a mosaic. So I was telling Quadlock, I said, look, this guy's got no case. He's slumming it. He needs the brand new case like I've got here. So we spoke Quadlock, and they're going to sponsor us for the Tour de France coverage. So every episode will, of course, be thanks to Quadlock. Now, you guys can win a $200 Quadlock voucher. That's what we're going to be giving away at the end of our coverage.
That's so good. You can get multiple setups with that. I was even looking at the website. You get a golf setup, mate, for the buggy there. That's what you need to know the number to the pin.
I've got that, yes.
Yeah, you do. It doesn't help you, but it's handy. Oh, man.
They've got everything.
It's just,
yeah. They've got the car mounting,
the
the suction cups. They've got, of course, the ones for the bike. And then, just to be honest, the case, I think, is where it's at. The iPhone or Samsung case, if you're an idiot wearing a Samsung, that's where it's at. It's $50. But anyway, the point is, I'll be creating a reel this week, which you'll be able to comment on. It'll be on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and everywhere else. And you comment on that, and you're going to have, a chance to win. And also, use the code Roadside 10 for 10% off. And if you buy something with that code, screenshot your order, send it to us in the DMs on Roadside Cycling Podcast on Instagram, and that'll get you 10 more entries. So that reel will come out.
It's going to be my name in the DMs.
Just 10 with it's Tommy with 50 orders of an iPhone 11 case, the last remaining stock. So, make sure you do comment and get in there when it comes out. It'll come out before the tour, this little video, and we'll draw a winner at the end of the Tour de France for that $200 Quadlock voucher.
Yeah, sensational. Great to have them on board. Now, mate, you've been brokering deals, and this is actually something I've got to bring up before we get into kick things off today. With obviously big Tour de France. So you accuse me of these cash grabs, just violating these events, moving in on the mic. Look. Yourself, mate, you're pretty slippery for a bit of a cashing here. And if you listen to any AM station, on the radio, that is, you will know that they do the call, 10 questions for $1,000 a minute. What is it, the $1 million minute?
No.
And my network in the radio community said they had a certain bloke by Jethro.
This is embarrassing.
On 882 AM.
How did you get this?
Mate, I've walked across my hallway to the bloke who works in audio production that I live with for 6PR, and he's grabbed a hold of this.
Well, up to the Beverly Hillbillies today, we've got Jethro from Clarkson. Morning, Jethro.
Morning, how you going?
Righto, Jethro. Now, there's 10 questions in front of you. If you can get them all right, you've won $1,000. Now,
$1,000.
Don't dilly-dally, though. Here's
what is the title of the Bishop of Rome and the visible head of the worldwide Catholic Church?
Pass.
The head of the Catholic Church is the Pope. Heard of the Pope?
No, I haven't met him.
Right, no. So you've done well, mate. $60 coming your way, Jeffro. Nice work.
Thank you. Going to quit my job.
Yeah, well, hopefully. No.
Oh, no, mate. Hey,
You absolutely, you didn't know who the phone was.
No,
What
I
are you
don't-
doing calling into
this-
radio stations? Are you calling into SEN?
No, not yet because their time zone's off, so I can't call Corns and Kingy. No, hang on a second. A bit of. Hang on.
Who's the phone?
At-
Never met him.
Hang on. I was trying to Google the answers, right? So we call up at work sometimes. We do call up 6VR and we try and get the quiz. 10 out of 10 questions, you get $1,000. And anyway, I thought, no, I'm going to be cheeky and get my phone out and try and Google the answers as they were asking me them. So that first question completely threw me because I was trying to Google it. I knew the answer, but I wasn't listening. So that's why I said pass. I had no idea what he'd said. And he moved on to the next question.
Yeah, he did, because we got to
Oh.
get 10 questions in a minute, but I didn't
Hey, I
keep
got
up.
6 out
I
of
wasn't gonna play the whole lot. Yeah, you got 6 out of 10, so you walked away with $60.
Straight in my account, mate.
Hopefully that ends up in Megan's account, not yours.
Hey.
Brilliant, good play. This is not an advert for 6VR, by the way, but no, I rate that, mate. You had a crack.
Good deep dive. I don't mind that at all. So 6PR, yeah, hopefully they'll shout us out and get us on there
They
for our
will not.
tour coverage. Before we get stuck into a Tour de France preview, Tommy, last little bits that we've been up to recently. You were over in Melbourne doing some Zwift nights.
How good was that?
How was that, mate?
Yeah, it was
All right?
great. It was amazing. Hey, we had Cycling Royalty that posted up for it.
Yeah.
Grace Brown, Georgie Howe, Matt Keenan, Simon Gerrans. So I was working over there with Matilda Reynolds, who is just a bloody legend of the game. So she was great having a chat with all the big dogs in town who, gave up their evening to support Zwift, because I think they all recognise Zwift 10 years in Australia. That is special.
It is. It is special, and it's an emerging market for us as well.
Yeah, and you're in Sydney, mate?
Yeah, Sydney was good. Yeah, Sydney was okay. Sydney wasn't too bad at Sydney Rafa. I think Pedal Mafia Perth stole the show. Unfortunately, that was they lifted the lid. So the next Zwift events that'll be occurring, I imagine they're going to be much like the one that was in Perth, because that was something else. Cold hard cash on the line, and Zwift, they did a fantastic job. But let's get stuck into this podcast. Let's get stuck into the Tour de France preview. A little bit of news as well. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift. Okay, FE Sports Roadside news, Tommy. Just before we get into the Tour de France preview, some big news has been broken recently, and the biggest one I think came across our desk was the new addition that will be coming next year into the Pro Tour teams for the UCI. It was the Modern Adventure Pro Cycling Team. This is George Hincapie's and amongst others project that aims to be the renaissance of American cycling. So they say the new US Pro team will aim at racing the Tour de France within 5 years' time. So that is the Modern Adventure.
A lofty standard, isn't it? Lofty goal, rather. Oh, look, good on them. USA is a bit of a debacle of a scene over there at the moment with, their national series. I understand that it's hard to get Conti teams off the ground anywhere in the world, but, I believe in Australia and the US, it's even harder. So good on them. They're having a crack, and obviously there's a bit of a question with the personnel and the sponsors involved, but I don't know, man. Cycling is a sport where money comes from. Yeah, look, you take it, but
they've got some good riders, America, at the moment, though. You've got some big names. You've got Kuss, you've got Quinn Simmons popping up, you've got Jorgensen. There's a whole Dygert as well. There's McNulty. McNulty. There's some big names in US cycling right now, and many that might be in that sort of realm or arc of their career space where they might look at that American team and maybe jump ship at the end of their contracts. In the future, but look forward to seeing how that unveils with Bobby Lurch and Alex Howes, a part of the key staff. Sam Welsford, Daniel Benson all over this one. Next year is heading to Ineos Total Energies. 2-year deal reported, mate.
Yeah, it certainly is. Sammy the big man, he's off. I like it, to be honest. I think it's a good move for him. Obviously, there's that nostalgic feeling if he comes back to Jayco, you go, how good's this Aussie and the Aussie team? But ultimately, I think if he does go to Ineos, he will just be the sole sprinter there. Bit of an empty house in their sprint team, so in their sprint lineup. So I hope he's absolutely rorting them for the biggest paycheck he can get.
Well, I'd be really interested. We'll speak to Sam, actually. We'll get him before the end of the year. We'll talk to him again, and we'll try and ask him. I'd be interested to see what the two deals look like, because I don't think Jayco would have been too far away. I mean,
1-0 compared to another on the end of the...
Perhaps, probably might have come down to money. That wouldn't be the only reason
he'd sign, though.
No, for sure, but it might not have all been down to money. But I think at first Jayco were in the box seat, and Ineos sort of came from left field, and I suspect Geraint Thomas had his hands in this pie as well. Yeah. So interesting to see, and let's hope Sammy finishes off the year really strong, and he can get some good results, because Ineos did such a good job at Tour Down Under last year. Imagine if they just had Sammy Wilson there taking the stages and Navarrez taking the big dub as well.
Yeah, it'd be naughty.
That would be some special occasion. And on the other side of the coin, Arkea, they are looking destined to close up their shop. I know actually one of the great listeners to the pod, the big Hugh, he's part of the development team for Arkea, and he's been sent home this year because there are no more races on his calendar. So
tough sport.
Tough, and Arkea looks like they're really sort of falling apart because Bahrain have just announced a deal with Bianchi for 2026. So they'll be moving off Merida. God, imagine being stuck on Merida bikes for that long.
I don't know if it's positive moving on to Bianchi, though. They've had issues with their handlebar setups going on. And so, anyway, not my area of expertise, but the wheel goes round, doesn't it, in the world of cycling, and teams fold and they arise, just as we've literally announced here. So,
yeah, they do. Bahrain will be, they're going to have some changing of rosters as well at the end of this transfer period, August 1st, by the way. We'll be covering that for sure. But they've got some names that have been on the roller coaster as well, in and out the door. And Ineos, as rumoured by us many, many weeks ago on the rumour mill.
We should change this to the rumour, the
rumour
news
confirmation file. That's what we should be called.
The news element of this
6PR rumour confirmation file, John Hughes. Now,
Roadside rumour file. It's got a ring to it.
Oh, at Roadside.
Get Johnny Boy to sponsor a few cars for the
Roadside rumour file. If you guys have got some rumours in the cycling world, send them our way via DM and we will read them out throughout the tour. So hit us up on Roadside Cycling Podcast on Instagram or on our YouTube comments or anywhere you can find us. DM us with your roadside rumour, and we'll have the quadlock roadside rumour file during the tour. And that means we could put our own in there too. Like Tommy's
You're just going to be bombarding
the
cat. You're going to be messaging the Insta account from all these dodgy accounts.
The Melbourne Waterbull account.
Shout out Shane Wilson.
We love Shane Wilson. Now, what was I saying? Oh, Total Energies.
Yes.
So they have joined Ineos, and they're going to sponsor both teams next year, which is interesting, right? So they've confirmed they will still be the main title sponsor of Total Direct Energies for 2026, but that's at the end of that season. But they will co-sponsor with Ineos Grenadiers starting next year. And interestingly, the CEO of Total, Patrick Pouyan, he said, the CEO of Total Energies, he said, we are very happy to support Ineos Grenadiers team through this jersey sponsorship. So they're
sponsoring Ineos at the moment.
That's right, they are.
So they're jumping on.
So they're putting it on their jersey for the tour. So
which just goes to show that, the end of the year cycle for contracts really means, and for riders and for sponsors, a lot of crap. Inevitably, like all the big contracts are happening, and they want them to start before the Tour de France for maximum coverage. So we're seeing that more and more new bikes, new title sponsors coming on board for that period. So something the UCI should look at, particularly for rider contracts, to maybe start before the tour or something like that to try and maximize PR.
Well, I wonder, we were talking about this last week or last episode. We were thinking that Total Energies' involvement with Ineos is really the catalyst to get Remco across to the team. Those conversations, bloody hell, they might be occurring during the tour. So
they will.
There's going to be a lot of heat on Remco, and I hope he gets thrown the questions at him. Say, hey,
he will.
What's going on? Because the first time that was really occurring with Quickstep back in the day, he was getting very frustrated with those questions when the early rumors were circulating about him moving to Red Bull, him moving to Ineos back then. So one to watch as well for Ineos and Total, a big budget stock up for them in 2026. Tommy.
Yeah, it is.
FE Sports, we love them. The K-Edge
mounting
setups. I mean, when you think about mounts for your computers and your lights, there's only one you think of. It's K-Edge. They were sort of the first ones in the game, weren't they?
Yeah, the machined one-piece
beautiful,
sensational bit of kit.
Yeah, they were great. If you have your combo light on the front, they were sort of the markers in the game. And now on the, a lot of bike brands now have their proprietary bars and their proprietary seat posts and all the rest of it. And you think you have to buy their own stem mount, but handlebar mount. But K-Edge actually make them for most of the bike frames.
Yeah, they do.
So you can actually go on their website and you can click what bars have you got, what bike, etc. And they've got a mount for you. So K-Edge, we love them.
Yeah,
FE Sports.
Yep, absolutely.
Too good. Okay, we got to get into our preview for this route, the Tour de France 2025, kicking off. We'll get started right after this.
Well, the Tour de France, mate, presented by Quadlock, of course. If you need to grab yourself a phone case, use Roadside 10 for 10% off. Support the pod, support your phone as well. I am definitely getting mine into, it's like a new bathing suit for the phone. Anyway, mate, the Tour de France this year, the summary to begin with, in a nutshell, the Tour is going anti-clockwise. They're starting in the north of France in Lille. They've got 3 days up there. Then they come across Normandy and then to Breton. They finish on top on the iconic Mer de Breton out there. And then they make their way south all the way down to the Pyrenees and then across Provence. They got Ventoux and then into the Alps and then back out of the Alps to Paris. So that's the route in a nutshell. Ideally, this race is a race of 2 halves. So the first 9 days are sprinters. They suit a lot of the stages, suit the punchers as well.
Yep.
Stage 5, we've got a 30-kilometre TT. That favours the big boys. The main talking points, though, there's 2, in my opinion, for the first half of the race is for the GC, you could easily lose your race here in the first couple of days because there are some very interesting tight technical finales with multiple climbs back-ended.
Shit.
On stage 4, stage 6 as well. And, of course, Mer de Breton stage. That these guys will all be panicking and more fighting to be in position. You get caught behind a crash or something like that, you're going to lose time. Yeah, it's going to be nervous tenfold.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the biggest talking point, I reckon, is the yellow jersey. It's on offer in Lille. It's a flat track, out and back course. The big dogs are going to eat. The last time we had a sprinter in the yellow jersey was Alexander Kristoff in 2020.
Ooh.
So it's been a while. So I'm really looking forward to it. Hey.
Those stages at the start, when the sprint jersey, when the yellow jersey is up for grabs for the sprinters on stage 1, that makes me nervous because those last 15, really the last 20 Ks of those stages of stage 1 is going to be frenetic. You've got every rider fresh, rested, just pinging the watts they'll be doing. Their heart rates will be nice and fresh, nice and responsive. Everyone wants to get that jersey, and you've got 3 sprinters who have proven to go, you know what, I'm going to go through that gap even if I'm dying. And
if the gap's not there, they're going to try and make the gap.
Yes, and so I feel for everyone else involved in this because it's going to be so sketchy in those finales.
Yeah, but bring it on, though, because we'll get into it later because this year we've got big sprinters with big lead-out trains coming, so it's going to be really good. The back end of the race, there was a bit of criticism for the route because the route itself was so back-ended, a little bit like the Giro. You weren't a fan of it, but the Tour is a different beast, isn't it? Interestingly enough, the French public holiday of Bastille falls on the first Monday of a rest day. Prudhomme, the race director, he's decided to push the race back. So they're going to race the first 10 stages and then have a rest day on Tuesday. Don't get caught out by it. It's a good stage as well.
Okay.
I think you've got 7 Cat 3s or 2s in there.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's that sort of
stage.
Opening
nice.
day.
Nice.
The Pyrenees, first couple of days, and the climbs in the Pyrenees and the Alps this year, I'm a big fan of them.
Yep.
They're going to be using a lot of longer climbs this year.
The monster's back too, isn't it? The big one.
Yeah, the Giant of Provence, Mont Ventoux. So that's going to be in there. I think that's stage 16, I believe, off the top of my head. Don't at me if I'm wrong there. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. Memory. But that's going to be a beauty. No other climbs on that stage. That'll just be a big summit finish to crack on with. In a nutshell, you've got 7 flat stages, 6 hilly stages, 6 mountain stages with 5 summit finishes. So those summit finishes, like they happen in obviously the Alps, the Pyrenees. Particularly the Alps are going to be fascinating going up the Col de la Loze on the Queen stage, which has around 5,500 meters of climbing.
A lot of the riders, the GC guys, have been reconning
They
that
have
stage last week or so. So that's obviously one they've earmarked. We need to know this like the back of our hand.
Yep, precisely. That as well as stage 11 down in the Alps. Stage 11's it's 11 kilometer stage, and it's got a 9 kilometer TT climb in it, basically. So a lot of the teams have been going down there into the Pyrenees, and they've been doing simulations on the climb to see what bike is faster, what setup's faster.
We're going to see those bike swap scenarios.
Yeah, we may do. If you have a heavy time trial bike and you've got a fast aero road bike, you might run clip-ons with a disc. But if you've got a light time trial bike, you might run the time trial bike.
Those clip-ons with the discs are just diabolical to
But
look
they
at,
might be
eh?
they are.
The road
they
bike
are.
with the clip-ons and the disc wheel, it's just real junior cycling spec, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think so. Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch, though. I like it because that's the purity of the sport.
I know, but then you've got the big long-tailed helmet. You've got all these flogs. That must be the only day of the year where the pro cyclists look at themselves and go, you know what? I thought I looked pretty cool, but I just look like a bloody flog right now.
No, I like it. I love it. Bring it on. And then the back end of the race, like the Alps are just going to be phenomenal. But
Yep.
we do finish kind of on stage 19. Stage 20 is almost a bit of a transition out of the Alps towards Paris. It's not the big last finale that we had at the Giro.
Got the change, don't we? We've got the big change to the final stage.
Yeah, of course. Like, you know it better than me, mate. You've seen it in action. It was the climb that was used in the Olympics, the Montmartre climb. I believe.
Yes, that's right. They have. Yeah, so that we know they're going to be doing that climb 3 times before they approach the final shots.
4 kilometers from the finish.
Oh, so we could get someone solo. And you know who I think will be licking their lips for this? Will be the likes of Van der Poel, Pogacar, and probably someone like Julian Alaphilippe. Imagine Julian attacking. He would, and he's pinging. We're going to talk about him in a second. He is pinging. So it's going to be great. We've got the sprinters, punchers going through that first week, which is going to be super exciting. And then, of course, all the big climbers going through the final 2 weeks, which is when it really opens up for those GC guys. This is Roadside. Oh, no, GC guys. We're going to get into our teams, preview the GC riders, the sprint riders, and our mountain picks as well right after this. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift. So, Tommy, in the GC, we're going to run through the main hitters here because I tell you what, there are some big names to go through, and some of the teams, like, for example, we'll start with the top team, the defending team, UAE team, Emirates.
I like it.
I was looking at their squad. There's got to be... Their squad is unbelievable. There's probably no rider in there not getting €1 million per season. And when you've got the likes of course, Pogacar himself with Almeida, who's in career best form, and Adam Yates as your main lieutenants. Let's forget about Micah and the rest of them that are involved.
Sivakov.
Yeah, Soler, the big solar panel. That team is unbelievable. So that's a huge name, of course. So Pog is stocked to the rockets, ready to go. Baracchini as well. Look out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Vingegaard, his main competitor to Pogacar, big Vingegaard, and of course he's got the Giro winner, Simon Yates, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'll be fascinating to see how Yates goes in that last week, just obviously coming off the Giro. So.
How he manages the load and will he be useful in the end? Remco on his own at Quick Step or Soudal Quick Step, he'll have
on his own.
Well, he
won't have
Tim
much.
Tim Merlier, on the bus. So Remco's going to be on his own for a lot of this race, we think, looking for that white jersey, looking for that step on the podium once again after his debut year last year. And then, of course, we forgot about him, really. Primoz Roglic is back for Red Bull Bora. I was hoping to see Hindley on the start line for him. He will not be there from his concussion protocols, but Primoz is probably that last man in our, I guess you could say, 4-man hit list for the GC in this tour.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, the big 4, they're back. So they're back, and they've all got some pretty good support. Even Roglic with Florian Lipowitz as well, who's been putting in a great ride at the Dauphiné. So it is a bit of a shame to see Hindley, but my understanding with Jai is that he's just going to stay with his same program that he started the season with, which is, I believe, San Seb, Burgos, and then Vuelta. So, which is kind of encouraging to see because I think he's good enough to go away and actually have a crack at winning the Vuelta if he gets the right run up. So, that's just a bit of West Aussie news there. But, mate, you're talking about the big 4. There's really the big 2, aren't they? Yeah. That's the question. We saw the showdown at the Criterium de Dauphiné where it was just Pog kind of rinsing.
He rinsed him out like a towel, like a used towel. You know those towels you keep in the shed, in the bike shed, and you just use them to clean your rag, clean your chain and stuff, like an old rag. That was Vingegaard, and Pogacar was the chain, wasn't he? He was just clean me up, please, Vingegaard. So you're right. It was the big 2, and I think we were all waiting for that. The first moment all year, they raced against each other, Vingegaard and Pogacar.
Yeah, it was, first time.
That's way too, we've talked about this before. That's just simply way too long for those two to meet. Vingegaard ducking Pog any chance he gets. But we wanted to see a close battle, didn't we? We were like, geez, because this is the barometer. This is the barometer for the tour. It's kind of like seeing the trailer for your favorite movie. And then you see the trailer and you're like, oh, there was really a big spoiler in there. The Pogacar wins. So let's hope. We want to see. First of all, the question is, after that Dauphiné, how close will Vingegaard be to Pogacar? Will he be able to close the gap from the Dauphiné, or will that gap be the same, if not more, with, of course, 3 weeks of racing?
I think so. A few variables to start off with is that, from that point, you still had 3.5 weeks to the start of the tour. From the end of the Dauphiné. I don't know the load that Vingegaard was coming in on. If he had just come, a lot of them come from camp, they have a day or two, then they go to the race. Yeah. So he might have just absolutely rinsed himself prior. I hope so.
Yeah. The chain.
Yeah, precisely. And then also the climbs at the Dauphiné with those 20-minute climbs. They're a little bit short for Vingegaard.
Which
He
suit
likes
Pogacar more.
precisely. So I'm really intrigued to see, particularly with the Tour, it's back-ended. The racing begins, so to speak, on stage 11 into the Pyrenees. That he's just trying to time his run to there. He's not too interested in the first week. He's not going to be going after stages. He's just going to try and limit his losses, make the cuts, be there in the groups. And then when they're on these longer climbs, 15K climbs, where both these teams are so strong that they will be able to support each other. It's going to be really fascinating when one team tries to take it up to another to try and have a crack, and if they can isolate one of their riders or the opposition, or vice versa.
Well, you think Vingegaard might be trying to maybe back end his tour a little bit and just try and ride himself into it, keep himself within a couple of minutes going to that third week, and just hope that he can peak, and maybe Pogacar just starts to sort of fall away at the edge, and he can gain some time on those long climbs that he's done before, like back in 2023.
Yeah. Also, just like I honestly think with the technical first 9 or so days, I honestly think you're going to see a couple of GC riders just go kaput. Either crosswinds, because in the northern France you get crosswinds. Also, just with the tight technical finales, you get caught behind a crash on one side of the road because, some rider from Cofidis, like Izagirre, wants to have a go. So, there will be incidents where time will be lost. Pog, I could not tell you of an incident off the top of my head where he's lost time apart from
Tour de France.
Apart from his first Tour de France, where he lost minutes in the crosswind.
Was that in Normandy? I reckon that was in
Normandy, it was right up there.
Or in Brittany. And those are the stages we talked about at the start of this this preview, where those Normandy and Britain stages, those are the ones with the wind and the really narrow corners in a lot of these stages. Those are the ones that are going to be the ones, the Roglic killers, the ones that remove those.
Roglic killers.
Yeah, those, they're just the fragile riders, and you want to make sure you've got your bodyguards around.
You look at it, and with Pog, he's got Niels Pollitt, Jonathan Narvaez,
the teeth,
and Tim Wellens. So he's got 3 really good riders. I think
panel as well is pretty good in the as a rouleur.
I would not want to rely on Mark Soler at all.
Rebate.
No. Yeah, rebate. Yeah, you'd be cashing him in. No, you'd be using the rebate to get him, then putting him on the trade table.
So he's got those bodyguards. Wout will be there for Vingegaard. Probably Affini.
Yes, Affini as well. They've got Tish Benutz and, of course, Victor Camperonats.
Oh, that's good for that
great
first
ride.
week.
Yep.
Okay,
really good lineup. Really big fan of it.
So how close do you think you'll be there with Vingegaard with Pog? Do you think it's going to be within minutes?
In Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I believe so. Also, it was just intriguing. You read into the Dauphiné time trial as much as you want, but Jonas had a great ride. His setup was fast and slippery by all reports, and the conditions favoured his setup.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was interesting that day. So I hope that Jonas can take time when he can. If in that time trial as well, it's another fast time trial on stage 4 or 5. So I just hope it's not a blowout. No one wants to blow out, do they, mate?
We don't. No one wants to blow out unless you're having a big night on the Terps. But what about third place? Third place is up for grabs as well. And that Tour de France podium is massive. And look, the single fin. So the Tommy's on the beers already.
Saturday afternoon, sun's out on the deck.
Yep. Actually, you know what? This morning we were on our ride at the servo, right? We're stopping at the servos, getting a couple of cherry ripes because I was not feeling cherry ripe. And these blokes roll in. It's 8:30, right, up in the hills. And these guys roll in, fill up their ute. They crack a couple of tinnies. Emu bitters, 8:30 in the morning. Like, can you believe that? And they're obviously driving too. So, geez, I tell you what, lucky we got home alive. But third place, the podium's up for grabs. And last year, Remco Evenepoel took that on his debut at the Tour. He took the white jersey with it. The Dauphiné showed that perhaps Remco, who we thought was probably best of the rest of the GC guys, or maybe not, because obviously we've got Roglic and we've got Lipowitz as well fighting for that third spot, and potentially my man, Yao Almeida, who let's just sort of dig the receipt out of the box. If I can pat myself on the back.
I could imagine you're just going to spend all of Sunday night just trolling through our old recordings trying to find.
I don't need to, because I did say Almeida has gone to another level.
He has,
and he's won everything he's touched this year. He's the Prince of Portugal. He's my man, and he could also be the one on that third step. But this is the real question for me, Tommy. Who actually cares about third? And who actually cares about the white jersey that we mentioned that Remco's got? Because Lipowitz is after that white jersey as well. Does it even matter? Has Pog killed the white jersey?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. White jersey, just, obviously Pog is an amazing rider when he came through, and generational talent. But the white jersey, I thought, did lose its meaning a little bit in the end with that. And the way cycling's going, they almost need to make it younger, don't they? They need to dial it back a little bit more because we're getting young riders coming through to the tour who, maybe not the Kian Ertebrooks or Lenny Martinez at that ages, but I don't know if you need to add it to another year off what it is at the moment.
Yeah, well,
maybe you do to make it a little bit more relevant. I don't know, potentially.
Yeah.
Because that might incite teams to take one really young rider to the tour.
Well, maybe just change it altogether. Most stage wins, it's things like that. Change it up. Maybe these jerseys all to be flipped to the side.
Wins,
no, something else. Because the white jersey, young rider, they're all
Why
guns
are
now.
you not satisfied? It's the way cycling's going for so long. It's like the Giro tour, boring routes. Turned out to be thrilling.
Back on the last stage. I know, on the last stage, and there were people riding for others that didn't have teams, and there was all sorts going on. But Ineos signed that Benjamin Naval. He's a 16-year-old.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's 16 years old. They signed him. So maybe the young riders' jersey needs to be an under 15s jersey, Canberra Junior Tour style. So.
Yeah.
But also, one more thing on the jerseys. The UCI actually introduced a new rule, by the way, where if you are, you're renting the jersey. Let's say Pogacar is in yellow and he's also in polka dots. They give polka dots to the second placed on polka dots the next day to wear it. But if you're a national champion, you don't have to wear the on loan jersey.
Yeah.
So you can wear your normal national champ stripes,
like
if Durbo was in the mount, something like that.
Yep.
Something to think about. But we've got to talk about sprinters, Tommy.
Well, hold up. Before you go to that, I want to talk about just, you're talking podium.
Yeah.
Just quick scan.
Yeah.
Because to make the tour, to win the tour, phenomenal. Podium, stunning.
Yes.
Top 5 and top 10 are very important to the tour. Top 10 is actually, top 10 at the tour is actually pretty bloody good. It is sensational. Maybe at the Giro, you're looking at it and you're like, oh, nah, it's all right.
Place.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then, the tour is actually a big
top
deal.
10 for sure.
So, just quickly, you've got Mass at Movie Star, Onnerly at Picnic Post NL, who had a great tour of Swiss.
Yep.
Ineos will go there with Carlos Rodriguez, who's previously finished in the top 5.
Yes.
Skelmoser will go there with Little Trek, but the Dane, he was sick recently. We'll see how it goes. Jayco go with Ben O'Connor.
Yes.
He's flying the flag. He had a bit of a volatile tour of Swiss. But he's done it. Yeah, it was a little bit after taking so much time on the first stage.
Yeah.
Decathlon will go in with Felix Gall there as well as their man. So that's kind of the smattering of riders that are going to fill out the GC ranks.
Just sorry to interrupt. I was just thinking about Enric Mas. He's got the biggest neck. His neck is so.
Yeah, he reminds me of Bin Chicken.
It's so.
It's
so big. So look at his neck next time. He's got a tiny head. He looks like sort of alien. So his neck is huge. But you're right. Those riders are also fighting for that top 4, top 5, top 10.
Yeah. And then you throw on the Guillaume Martins of the world who are just eternal top 10. You're like, who cares? But it'll be interesting to see who does make that top 5.
It will be. It certainly will. Now, the sprinters is the case. It's a very exciting case as well. It's the big 4, Tommy. It's the big 4 that we're looking at.
Yes.
In fact, I don't know why I said big 4. It's the big 3. It's Jonathan Milan, the big Italian, 192 centimetre, absolute horse, the tripod, they call him. You've got
You're just a fanboy for him, aren't you?
I love big units.
Are you on the payroll for Lidl? You should be.
Not yet, but I do want their new electric pump. And that's not a plug. I actually legitimately want their new electric pump.
What, FE don't do one?
They don't do an electric pump. So they have to get on that.
Okay.
But maybe Magine will come and do one. But
Magine will. Magine do everything.
Jonathan Milan, Timothy Merlier, and of course Jasper Philipsen are the big 3. And they really are so close on their day, depending on the way the sprint is carried out and goes into it. Any of them can win. They're so even. I suspect out of the box, Milan is the fastest. Maybe kick, it is just pure 5-second kick. I think it's Merlier. And Philipsen is probably just that guy that can make anything happen because he's willing to risk it all. That's my count on the 3.
No, I disagree. So I think, maybe you're right with Milan.
Okay.
But I think Merlier and Philipsen have just pure pace, pure sprint.
Yeah.
I think they've got a really good acceleration. And I think they've got, maybe in terms of sprint smarts, their craft is exceptional. And we saw that earlier on in the year at UAE, where we saw Merlier jump Milan multiple times.
Yes.
So you can't sort of buy that. And I think maybe out of the box, you're right, Milan. if it's a straight drag race and they're going at the same time,
Yeah.
hard man to beat.
3 legs.
But it never is. And the sprints happen in blink of an eye. They make judgment calls so quickly on when to go and when not to go as well, that it comes down to so much more than just pure pace.
And Philipsen is going to have Van der Poel as well, which we've
Yes.
seen before the last 2 years, really. That has been such an advantage to have him. I think the Lidl Trek train will probably be the strongest overall, but you can't discount what Matthew Van der Poel does for Philipsen, who, I reckon he's got a bit of a target on his back as well, because he has been the main man of the last two Grand Tours, or 2 Tour de France's. And then, of course, last year, Biniam Gourmet, he's just gone to sleep. He has gone to sleep.
Last year? What are you talking about?
Last year he took 2 stages,
Yeah,
maybe
three.
3
Three and the
stages.
green.
Yeah, 3 in the green. And we'll talk about the green in a moment. Where's he been since? He's been nowhere.
He's been on the gas in Eritrea.
He's been on the gas, all right, absolutely. So he needs to shave his head too, by the way, I think.
No, you just let him do what he wants, the young man.
No, I think he neast to have the nice dome, because he's just
Binny
losing
signed
it
that
on the
big
top.
contract extension, and he just nestled in. He's got pretty comfy, didn't he? No, he'll rise to the occasion. He's going there with a pretty solid team and a team that are pretty dedicated to him. My guy, though, I'm interested to see is Groenewegen. He's up for contract. He reportedly is fielding offers, as they all do.
Yeah.
He will go there with a good couple of lead-out guys. From Jayco as well. It's a split team for them with Ben and Dylan.
Yep.
So Groenewegen as well, if he hasn't signed for a team, the last couple of years he's won 1 stage at the Tour de France.
That's great.
Which,
That's great.
if he wins again, or at least from last year and he wins this year, in a hypothetical, his value as a sprinter to one of those teams like Astana, who are in the market,
yes.
Cofidis,
Yep.
one of those teams to go
Sugar.
like, I win stages. I win a stage at the Tour de France, or I'm in the mix. I'm not just a, Brian Coquard who gets, pushed around a little bit. I'm in the mix.
He's fighting for his next contract, isn't he?
He is, and he's fighting to see how many zeros are on it. So, he will be, I think, I dare say, in the mix.
Do you think he'd be more relaxed at this Tour de France, knowing that Sam isn't coming to Jayco next year? Because maybe because if he was to go to Jayco next year, he would probably be number 2 behind Sam.
No rest for the wicked, mate. The sprinters' contract's up, got to win.
Well, he's another man that's known to be a psycho in those bunches. He used to say podium or flowers, or so podium or hospital is his old saying, Groenewegen in Dutch, which meant, he's going for it or he's going to the hospital.
That did not end well for a PR slogan, did it?
No.
Also, thinking of Jordi Mears, who won in Paris a couple of years ago.
Cool.
He's coming, and he left, interestingly enough, Tour of Swiss early to go race in Copenhagen, the Copenhagen Sprint, which is a 1-day race.
Yes.
And he won it. So he's going well.
He's in form. That's a great call. Little sleeper on Muse. We like his last name as well. Stage Hunters is probably, I think, when the GC if the GC does become a 1-horse race, which it may, and it may not, we'll see, but the stage hunting becomes a really good thing for people to watch, because, of course, it involves the mountain jersey most of the time. The breakaway days can be very exciting because you often get 2 battles. You get the break, you get the GC guys back.
Which will be fascinating in itself this year with such 2 big, strong teams.
Yes.
Who controls.
Yes, and geez, didn't Vingegaard bring a team to control a race? By the way, some of the teams and the names to go for, who you might be looking for, Israel are riding. They've got Lysenko, who's a former stage winner. Michael Woods, who's been 6. I'm not sure how he's going to go. Dunbar for Jayco. That'll be interesting. Eddie Dunbar.
I don't know. I think Eddie will be riding there in support for O'Connor, unless things go AWOL.
I hope O'Connor scraps his GC bid and goes for stages, because I think he'd be more successful if he did that.
That's a fascinating one. I dare say, I'll leave it quickly on this remark on this, is that there are riders who can change plans quickly and riders who can't. Ben can do that. He's shown in the past. Okay. And he's got an aggressive racing attitude, which some GC guys just do not have. But he's got it, so we can do that, yes.
EF Education have got Carapaz, the return.
Yes,
he was Mount
your
Jersey
boy
last year. El Jaguar, the great man with 2 gold statues. They've got him and Ben Healy and Paulus as well. So those team. 3 are huge. And I was listening to the cycling podcast earlier this week. They had an interview with Jonathan Vaughters, and he was explaining the economics behind just how important a stage win at the Tour de France is versus a 7th on GC at the tour. He was explaining what it means to his sponsors, and he said that the breakaway stage win days are massive. They are massive, and what that can do, and what doing in the jersey and attacking and being at the front can do, is absolutely huge for their metrics. So
you know who you'd throw in that EF as well, who's got on the provisional, is Harry Sweeney.
Oh, the Sweeney dog, yes.
Yeah, so Sweeney's having a great ride, and you know what? I tell you what, the final stage of Swiss was an uphill time trial. Very challenging uphill, mountaintop finish time trial.
Yeah.
He finished 5th on the stage.
Wow, that's decent. So he's obviously going.
He's absolutely flying. You take Sweeney to the finish line at your own peril.
Have you seen his YouTube channel?
No, it's good.
He's good. Yeah, it's quality.
Really?
Definitely watch it. He
shout out
puts out
Sweeney.
videos once every month or so, but they're very well produced. He's got his mate there helping him, and just a bit of a day in the lifestyle, but they're very well done. So Sween Dog is doing well there.
Love that.
Bahrain, they've got Mahoric and Fred Wright, which will be good to see as well.
Also interesting, Wright is on the move. Apparently Q36.5 is sniffing around.
Yes, as rumoured by the
Daniel
Roadside
Benson.
rumour file. Or Daniel Benson. I didn't know that one, so I just went with it. It was ours. Lotto, just a really absentee team, really, for the whole year. But they're bringing Arnaud Delis, the bull, the big bull who drinks his own bathwater and hasn't done anything for a long, long time since, I think, getting a bit ahead of himself. He needs a result, and Lotto needs something from him.
Yeah, Lotto need a result. You know, it's interesting enough that they're a pro-Conti team, so to speak. This year, they forego an invitation to the Giro because they prioritise the Tour de France, so they don't have the coverage of the team, so to speak. They need a result. You know, every team needs a result at the Tour de France, mate. And yeah, this is one of those teams where I think the selection panel would have been scratching their heads a little bit. So,
well, they've been trying to figure out what was wrong with Delis. He had sickness, he had illness, he had knee injury. For his last 2 seasons have been rubbish after a really, promising start to his career. We thought he'd going to be the next Merlier, but hasn't yet eventuated, and hopefully he can bounce back. Tudor, I'm hot for this man. I'm hot for this man with the goatee. And who isn't? The French ladies on Bastille Day. And the men, I have to say, will be juicing up for sure. Because Julian Alaphilippe, the great man.
he's back. Just get to the point. He's back.
I'm editing that out.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll leave it in. Julian, he is in great form. He just came off the podium, I think, at Swiss. He was in the podium on the last day. He's in good shape. He did a great TT. He loves, of course, the tour.
Did he?
I
finished
think
40th in the TT and he was 5th on the overall.
That's 5th overall. That is
Yeah.
fantastic on GC. He's never been on the podium for any World Tour race in his career.
Oh,
On GC.
for a
GC.
for a week-long stage race. Yeah, that's
so
not surprising.
Really impressive, but I think we're going to see the Julian of that
Yep.
Tudor are looking for. I've just scrolled down to the bottom of my sheet. So who else is next on here, Thomas?
Uno X, of course, the Scandinavian team. They will go in with Magnus Cort, who has been prolific this year, particularly in the early season races. He always snavels a few stages.
He's a good rider.
And he's a rider who's just crafty. You know, he's just a crafty rider. He's done multiple Grand Tours before. He'll be steering the ships. Jonas Abrahamsen has been sort of the story that's come out of that team. He broke his collarbone about 10 days ago, and he's going to the Tour de France. So he's been on the trainer doing a Matty Heyman sort of style training block. But yeah, I like it. He's got another week to go, and then he's back racing the Tour de France. Big fan.
So he's going to be probably the most dangerous stages in Tour de France last 10 years.
Yeah.
That's stage 1 of the tour. And he's coming off 20 days since on stage 1 it'll be 20 days since he's snapped his collarbone in half. Man, that thing will be like a wafer stick. You know those wafer sticks that come in the
I tell you what,
tubes?
they all are there. They all have wafer sticks. They've all broken their collarbones.
Oh, man,
Their bone density in the peloton. They do weights in the off to build it up.
they
They roll around a little bit.
Vingegaard when he was rolling the sleeveless vest. He looked like a skeleton.
Needs to go back to the fisheries, and move a few fish around.
He needs a bit of fish oil. That's what he needs. But I tell you what, I think that's dangerous. That's way too soon to come back.
Well, are you a medical professional?
I'm a man with humans,
You think it doesn't pass the pub test?
Well, I don't know who the Pope is, so maybe I don't fucking know. No, that's stupid. 9 days. It's only been 9 days, and they've announced him for the tour. That's crazy.
Put yourself in the bin, mate. It'll be A-OK. The doctors wouldn't have put him on there. He's not exactly like the make or break. He's no Lance. He's no, Poggy. If it was Poggy, you'd be like, we need the result. You're going either way.
You
Where,
know-
you know, they wouldn't, they have depth in that squad. They would put someone else in if they didn't think he was good
I
enough.
don't know if they have depth, but how about this, right? What
Yeah,
are
they do. They're not
contrasts-
taking Christoph.
Yeah, the big horse. Well, yeah, now he's someone who's had too much fish. Now the big chunk. Look, how about the contrasting sort of stories here? Last year, Jonas Abrahamsen was great. He was attacking, he was aggressive, he was trying everything, and he beefed up too. And in his original part of his career, he was very skinny and gaunt. And he came out during these interviews at the tour last year, stating how it just wasn't healthy for him to be at that weight. So he started eating more protein, and just being less focused on trying to reduce his weight and more trying to increase his weight and increase his power. That was a big thing. It was celebrated, and so it should be. And most of that reason was to focus on his health. He's trying to be bigger and stronger and be more healthy in the peloton. And here he is.
And he's about to go ride a bike.
20 days from the tour, he's riding with a snapped collarbone. That doesn't exactly promote healthy,
little baby fracture.
a healthy lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like there's a bit of I'm looking after my health, but at the same time, I'm willing to risk it with a collarbone that's made of, milk. Nothing.
Let the boys play.
Let the boys play. Okay, I think that's a bit dangerous. But what about the Aussies? We're going to talk
No,
about the Aussies
hold
as
up.
well,
One more
right?
name I want to talk about because he is worth talking about.
Okay.
He is the golden child at our Airbnb hotel.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. So
How do you go?
okay, here we go. It's Vacolon.
Very close, Kevin Vaqualon. He's not bad, Jethro.
Yeah.
Gammy Nagel.
Yep.
Second, if you don't mind, 2 days ago in the individual time trial of France, he lost to Bruno Amarai, so that doesn't really speak for much, does it? Now, Tour of Swiss, he was second overall.
That's a good
and
result.
he was second on the first stage.
So will he be going?
He was
first?
second at Flèche Wallonne.
Oh shit! So he
he-
like those punchy stages.
Won a stage at the Tour de France last year. Do you not remember? He won, I believe it might have been, it was stage 3, it was stage 2.
Well, the interesting thing is that he's obviously riding for Arkea, which is an interesting one because obviously they're going to be wrapping up next year. So he's got his name in the shop window.
No, it's not in the window. He's signed.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, he's the man.
Okay.
He's very impressive. And the French teams, Decathlon and Cofidis,
Yep,
they would be fighting tooth and nail to get a hold of him.
they certainly will. Yes.
And a bit of a rogue one from Cofidis. They've got the Izagirre bros, the brothers.
I love
They're
those
coming
guys.
back.
I love them. I think they're fantastic. You got Eon and Igor.
Izagirre.
Izagirre, yeah. Eon and who's the other one? Igor.
Actually, no. I'll put my foot in my mouth. You got Alex, Aaron Baru, Eon Izagirre is going around. But my man I'm thinking of is Emmanuel Bookman. So we know everything about the Izagirre bros.
Now.
Yeah, he did. He left Red Bull.
Bora, yes.
So-
the book, the emu.
Yeah, so he will be a rider who'll be targeting. Yeah,
Okay. So the Aussies that will be at the Tour de France, not as big a list as we've had in the past, Tommy, but we talked about Swing Dog. We've got Jack Haig here. We've got Jared Drisner's potentially for Lotto.
Yep.
Stannard, an interesting one. If he makes the Tour list, that could be a interesting one. We know Ben O'Connor is a massive chance for that GC top 5. And will Turbo Durbo be at the Tour, mate?
Yeah, big question mark over him at the moment because Christian Jensen, there was obviously a couple of rulers in the team where they had Jules Jensen, Durbridge, Max Walscheid as well.
Yeah, the big horses.
Walscheid's, he broke his wrist. He's not going. He's out of the rain. He's out of the panel of selection, so to speak.
Yeah.
Jules Jensen, he was in good nick at the Dauphiné. So he was in a breakaway. He showed form. He looked strong. Helped Dunbar there. Reindeers is another rider on that list who is part of the lead-out train for Groenewegen.
Yes.
Mezgex as well is one of the question marks around him and how he helps Dylan in the
He will
in the
definitely
lead-out.
be there. Mezgetz, he's the last man.
He, I would say, is maybe the second last.
Okay.
Durbridge and I would dare say Jules Jensen are the ones who are sort of 50-50. Now, if it was a Danish team, I would say that you'd go Jules Jensen.
He's
for
so
the sake of that
versatile, Jules Jensen, as well.
Yeah. So, you know,
But
it's,
Durbo is the Australian champ. How could Jaco not bring Durbo? This would be his 11th. I think his 11th Tour de France.
I hope the conversation we're having right now is for nothing because obviously we're a little bit biased here, but we would love to see Durbridge at the Tour de France.
And who replaces Blaine Matthews?
Well, that's the thing. I think actually when you look at their list, so if I'll just do a bit of a cheeky and just pull it up here. O'Connor, Dunbar, Maro Schmidt, who's going really well. He just won the TT, the National Individual Time Trial Champ of Swiss. Groenewegen, Mezgex, Reindeers, Jules Jensen. At the moment, on a provisional, I do not see Durbridge there.
I think that'll change.
Now that's 7 riders.
Oh, so we've got one more in there. Of course, Bling Matthews was the Michael Matthews missing out with that illness. So, geez, it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in. I think, well, I hope they bring Durbo in. He's the Australian champ, and having that jersey would be massive for of course Australia and of course for Durbo as well in a great season of his year.
Yeah, he's in good nick as well. Durbo's done a mountain of work, so it'd be hard. I think. Just having a quick look. Sorry. I think it would be hard not to take Durbridge this year.
Well,
unless you take someone like a Yasha Sutherland or that.
We'll see. They might announce it this week as well because a lot of teams have already announced their lineups and they're coming up on social media. So we'll wait and see and we'll make a comment on that.
Have you seen some of the teams do that announcing?
I have seen them and it's
they don't do it in a very good like some of the teams.
It's shit. Some of the teams do it well, but I'm sort of done with the poster. The movie poster.
How do you want to see it done then?
I like the video stuff. I like seeing videos. Maybe they could do a bit of highlights, a little reel. I think the poster is a bit blasé. What are these media people getting paid? Maybe not enough. Maybe that's why. So I don't know. But we've got to do our picks, Tommy. We've got to pick. We've got to lay our mortgage picks on the line. Okay. Yep. It's going to come up right after this. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift. Okay, it is time for our Roadside mortgage picks. This is where we lay down our mortgage. This is everything we own, putting down on these picks. Now, a keen listener of Roadside did pull up a receipt from some of our previous discussions about me saying that Vingegaard wouldn't even race the tour because he'd pull out because he was
very good.
He was not in good shape. But that was I kind of still predicted the scenario of him not being even close to the pace of Pogacar. He just didn't pull out, which
that means I win. That means I claim victory.
We did win, and we reviewed our.
And we hadn't even started.
We reviewed our Giro Roadside picks as well, and mine, of course, I picked Ayuso, and then I went Roglic and Hindley, and you went.
I went Roglic, Ayuso, Hindley.
No, you went G for third.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, bang on the money.
Yeah, so you maybe got the better of me in the Giro coverage, but we both lost that one. Let's start with the.
I won.
Yes, you didn't win. You just did better than me. You picked 4th place. Well done.
I'll take it.
We couldn't even get 3 riders on the podium.
Rog binned it. I also blew up.
Oh, okay.
Hindley crashed on stage.
That's true.
4.
That's true. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Now, let's start with our green mountains and white jersey. I think the green jersey will be Milan, taking that one out. I think he'll announce himself as the far and away the best sprinter in the world right now. I think the Mounts jersey is going to go to Ben O'Connor. I think.
Wait, what? Say that again?
I think Ben O'Connor will go for the mountains. I think he will change his tact. He will switch from GC after maybe a disappointing start, and then he'll just redirect his focus towards the mountain jersey. And I think you have a battle royale with El Jaguar Carapaz.
Yeah, sure, champ.
And champ. Gary Lyon would like that. Now. White jersey, I think Remco will take the white jersey from Lipowitz, despite Lipowitz looking a little bit better in the Dauphiné. So what are your picks, mate?
You've just laid it out, and I'm trying to think about the names that you haven't picked because you've gone through and labelled them all. Okay, I think for the sprinters, I'll go with Philipsen. I think he's having a good year, and I think he's builds for the tour really nicely. I think he's going there with an exceptional team. We failed to mention Caden Grooves, who will actually obviously be going as well. So he's going to form part of that lead out there with Van der Poel and a stack of other big Belgian units.
It'd be cool to see Van der Poel go for green one day. I just think that would be cool.
I don't think he cares.
No, he definitely does not care. He doesn't want to be at the tour, but that would be cool to see. He just
wants to win a stage. And then you know what, Van der Poel, he will, I reckon, some of these stages in the first 9 days, or he'll be licking his lips. So I think we'll go with Philipsen over there in the sprints. In the mountains, I think it's hard to go past someone like Carapaz because Carapaz is a GC classy rider and he'll be going there with a team who's actually going for stages.
Yes.
And they will support that ambition to be on the podium in Paris, which is what it's all about for that team. So I'll go with Carapaz there. For a stage hunter, I'm going to go Lenny Kabner. who is back in form at Lidl Trek. He had a high finishing at Tour of Swiss in the top 5. And I think with Lidl coming in, they've got Skelmoser, but Lidl are sort of the team where if they're not, their leader isn't kind of a definite, they'll say to others, let's try and win some stages. And we saw them pivot brilliantly at the Giro, where Ciccone went in the bin, and then we saw Carlos Verona win a stage.
Yes.
So they're a team that support each other. So they'll support, I think, his ambitions to win a stage. So I'm going to go with Ledin Cabner on that front, who's won stages at the Giro, and obviously he was so pivotal to Jai winning his Giro d'Italia.
I like that. I didn't pick my stage hunter. That's a good pick, Camnar. He's one of my favourites, and who could forget that?
Make good picks, mate.
Well, yes, it's Leicester in the top 3. What about Camnar's pull for Hindley?
Giro.
We could never forget it. But I
brilliant.
think I did already pick my stage hunter as Julian.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I like it. He's due, I think, as well.
The goatee just has a style to it, doesn't it? I love him in the
Beryl, isn't it? It's absolutely. You look at that, you just.
Okay, now what about your podium, Tom? I'll let you go first. Mate. Who's going to win the Tour?
Who's going to win the Tour?
Well, and top 3.
Look, I'll bite my own tongue here saying it, but I think Pog wins. I think, the way that we saw. Oh no, you know what? Stuff you. I'm gonna go Jonas. Stuff you.
Jonas with
Stuff
the Tour,
you. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll die on my sword. Stuff you.
You have to. Okay, so he somehow miraculously beats Pogacar. And who's in third?
Who's in third?
The Prince.
Yeah, Almeida could do kind of what Adam Yates did the last couple of years ago, where he sort of rounds out that podium. You could see a Matteo Jorgensen as well be right up there. He's going really well, but I think he will be too important for Vingegaard, and he'll sort of drop back if he gets dropped, so to speak. Oh, mate, it's such open slather, isn't it? Like I think it's hard to go past Almeida, though.
Yeah.
The season he's having, where I think the only stage race Almeida hasn't won that he's been in was Paris-Nice.
Who predicted that rise of Almeida?
Now, Almeida, because he won Romandy, Catalunya, Swiss. He's having a good year, isn't he? So
who said he would just rise above this year and just go to a new level in January? Isn't it January? Yeah, I mean, the Prince of Paella, the Prince of Portugal. Yeah. They have rice there. They have rice there. Well, I actually agree with you. Apart from, of course, I think Pogacar will win. Vingegaard will have a gallant second. I'm going to tip around 3 minutes 45, a time gap. And then Almeida, I think that fight for third is going to be great. We're going to have Lipowitz. Almeida will be sniffing around. The Yates bros are probably going to be in contention there as well.
Simon and Adam.
Yeah, Ben O'Connor, Roglic. I mean, we're just riding off Roglic as well altogether.
Yeah, we actually have.
So he will be sniffing around.
Throw the big Rog Dog in for the eternal third.
These are going up on socials too, by the way. They're going up. It's a bit like your golf.
That was
the old double bogey.
You absolute nothing. I've just gone. I've parred 17. No, I parred 8, 9, and then 10, and then on 11 I'd have a double.
Bogey.
A
double bogey, and I just had a nice even par, mate, to go with the handicap.
Pretty sure I shot like 89 or 90 there, and you were in the hundreds, mate. So
okay, let us know who your podium is going to be for the Tour de France.
I need to get one of those quad lock golf attachments.
Yes, you do. Yeah, it's really good.
So
it's about $30 or something. Really nice. Use Roadside 10 for the quad lock products, and look out for that reel as well. And we'll post it everywhere, and you can have a chance of winning that $200 quad lock voucher. See you for the first episode of our Tour de France lift out coverage, guys. My name's Jet. This is Tom, and we'll see you on the next episode.
You just introduced us at the end, Jet and Tom.
Yeah. It's just a reminder.